So I've been hearing a lot about this show called Citadel, which is really good or really bad depending on who you ask. But the show stars Richard Madden, who plays Robb Stark in Game of Thrones, but he's also on a show on Netflix called Bodyguard, I believe, which is only like 6 episodes or so. It's honestly not that bad. It's pretty good. And he also plays Icarus in Eternals as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But it also stars Priyanka Chopra Jonas. I can't really tell you much about her acting career. I know she was in Baywatch. She played the villain. It's a pretty insignificant role given how mediocre that movie was. And she played in Quantico as the lead role, I believe. So a show on ABC. But I haven't heard anything good about that show, to be honest. I mean, I haven't heard anything about that show, period, other than it exists. But she also played in a few rom-coms. I think one came out recently in theaters or something. But yeah, other than that, I haven't really heard anything from her that really rings out. I just know she's Nick Jonas's wife, and she's one of the most attractive women on the planet. But other than that, I can't tell you anything about her acting career. So between the two, Richard Madden definitely has the more impressive resume. So I expected him to be doing most of the acting, like most of the heavy lifting in terms of acting. Which, I mean, I wasn't necessarily wrong because Priyanka Chopra Jonas is a horrible actress. From everything I've seen, she's a horrible actress, although I can chalk it up to just simply bad writing given how poorly written the show is. And there are a few moments that aren't that bad, but the entire show was ruined from episode 1. For example, the whole show begins with this ridiculous upside down shot that you see repeatedly throughout the entire show. I don't know if they were trying to make it more dramatic, more intense. I don't know what the significance of it was, but you see it repeatedly. And then you get introduced to Priyanka's character, and she has these cliche spy gadgets. I mean, I don't know what it is with spies needing all these ridiculous gadgets. Why can't they just be good at what they do? And I understand if they have like one gadget maybe that isn't like too far-fetched. It's just like a something that we already have but like better or whatever, because I understand the military and government agencies having technology that we the public don't have access to, because when we go to war there's going to be a lot of technology that's uncovered, and then that'll get repurposed like when there's no longer war. Because I mean, what else are you gonna do with it? Like, you take the technology you got, say, all right, well, we're not at war. Let me make medical technology. Let me make medicine. Let me make better airplanes. Like whatever it may be. So I understand them having like one gadget that isn't too far fetched, but every single time, this stupid trope about them having stupid gadgets that do ridiculous things for whatever reason, and then on top of that, they have to explain every single thing. Like this guy that they're after has enriched uranium or something like that. I can't remember, but if she's on a mission, you would think she knows exactly what he has and what they're after, but they have to remind her in order, for the viewer to know. Like, why can't you just use visual storytelling? There's something that he has that's important, and then you could just uncover that as you go. You don't have to literally say everything. And then Mason Kane, who is played by Richard Madden, and not only is the dialogue of their conversation horrible, but they also have a response in a different language, just to let the viewer know that they speak different languages. Like, they're fucking spies. We know that most likely they speak more than one language because they have to blend in wherever the fuck they are. That's what spies do. And then a few moments later, there has this ridiculous fight scene, and I think it was in a bathroom or wherever the fuck it was, but they had a ridiculous fight scene with weird camera angles. Like, it was really unenjoyable. But then later they get betrayed. This turns out the whole thing was a setup, and then they both do something which was so fucking dumb. They both say that they were lying to the other, which takes away from the shock value of anything that could create later. Like, if later said, hey, I betrayed you, well, you already said that before, so I was already expecting something to come, so that's dumb. And then they take the amnesiac route with Mason Kane on some Jason Bourne shit where he just can't remember anything. And Jason Bourne did it so much better because with him, we get to kind of uncover who he is over time. Whereas this, we already know you're a spy. We already know why this happened. And we just have to see where the journey takes place, like, afterwards. Which is dumb because we all already know it's going to come back to the same conflict with Manticore and Citadel. And they explain later that Citadel is an agency created by spies who thought that they should make an agency dedicated to the world, not any particular country. Well, here's what I'm thinking. Where the fuck do you get all this funding? If it's spies that run this agency that's not loyal to any country. Where do you get the funding for all these gadgets, the headquarters, all the technology, the transportation, every single thing you have? Where do you get the funding for that? You're not getting it from a country. There's no fucking way they're going into their own damn pockets. Like, Manticore makes a little more sense because it's the richest families that are creating that organization. They're using their money to take down an agency, and money can get a lot done. But where the fuck is Citadel getting their money if not from a country? They don't explain that. At least if they did, I don't remember it, but it did not make any fucking sense. But one more thing, they have to explain exactly what Citadel is, what they do, blah blah blah. They literally have to explain every little thing. There's almost no visual storytelling at all. And again, because they both revealed that they lied to each other on the train, it takes away from any of the shock value it could have had later on. And I don't know when I figured it out, but at some point I had this very strong feeling that Nadia, Priyanka's character, was pregnant, which told me that Mason Kane was the traitor, because if that's what she's hiding, then he has to be hiding that. They kept talking about there was a traitor, somebody talked and gave away all the information, and they kept trying to point toward Priyanka's character, but that was too obvious. And then conveniently, Mason Kane had amnesia. He couldn't remember anything. Like, he's probably the guy, and I thought they might have revealed that after he got his memories back, but I mean, they just did it through some flashback. But either way, he was still the traitor. I was right. It was way too predictable. Citadel also flops a lot, like between timelines. Like, it'll go to the past, then the present, then the past, and when it goes to the past, it goes to different points in the past when something may have happened. The problem with that is that there isn't enough time in this show for them to do that and still have some semblance of a story that's enthralling. I didn't give a fuck about the story. It was already predictable because you don't really have a lot of time to put in enough depth to make it confusing or to have shock value, not to mention you fucked it up in the first episode. But there just isn't enough time to add enough detail to make me really think about what may or may not happen. You're making it so obvious. The show also flip-flops in tone. Like, it'll feel like a very dark espionage kind of thriller, and then out of nowhere they try to turn it into a comedy, then they try to turn it into a romance, then it turns into an action movie, and then back to espionage, and it just keeps going back and forth. And honestly, it exposes good versus bad acting. Like, Stanley Tucci, hands down the best actor on the show. Whatever the show needed, he did a very good job at adapting. Funny, dark, don't matter. Then Richard Madden, he was fantastic in some scenes, and other scenes he was kind of like eh. Then you have Priyanka Chopra Jonas, who had good fight sequences, but then other than that, she just had the female fatale scenes, and that's just her being beautiful, which she is naturally. She's one of the most beautiful women on the planet, and then being seductive, which she is naturally because she's one of the most beautiful women on the planet, and sexually alluring, which she is naturally because she's one of the most beautiful women on the planet. So I can't say that that's good acting. In fact, every time it wasn't about action or any of that, and she was trying to be serious, I could not take her seriously. Like, the acting was so cringeworthy. But you know what? I'll just chalk it up to really bad writing. She's a great fucking actress, and everything in this show can be chalked up to just really horrible writing, which it fucking is. But you know what really blew my mind was when I looked at the budget for this film. It was 300 million, and then I look at the budget for Fast X, which I think is like 340 something million, so it's only 40 million less, but it has like the same budget as a high profile blockbuster film, and yet it looks so bad. The writing is so bad, the acting is so bad. Like, where did all the fucking money go? Did it go to the really poor CGI? Did you just CGI the entire show? I mean, it felt like it. A lot of shit was CGI'd and it did not feel real at all, but where did all the fucking money go? And you know, this reminds me of Black Adam and how I thought the budget was comparable to like MCU films, but the MCU films came out looking good. Like, even though they use CGI, the films look good. Like, they at least did that right. But then the Black Adam one looks so fucking bad. Like, where did the money go? Because I don't know any of the fucking actors' names, so I know it didn't go to them. The only people I knew were Pierce Brosnan and Dwayne Johnson, and I'm pretty sure most of the money went to fucking Dwayne Johnson's pocket, because it sure didn't come out on the visual end, because it looks like shit. But like, that's the whole thing. Like, what are you doing with that money? It's like a mismanagement of money. Citadel had $300 million fucking dollars, and yet it looks like shit. The whole thing felt like it was CGI the entire time. The acting was horrible, the writing was horrible. Like, I don't know how a show can have this much money invested in it. I mean, I'd believe like Game of Thrones maybe, because the Game of Thrones, like, it wasn't perfect, especially like towards the end, but the episode 9 like episodes of Game of Thrones, like, they were very well choreographed. They were very well planned, very well written. So I don't know what the budget for Game of Thrones was, but something like that, I can imagine having that big of a budget because the money was well spent. I don't know what the fuck was going on with fucking Citadel. Like, it was so fucking bad, but so expensive. So it was like an expensive flop to me. But you know what? I'm gonna stop it right here because I'm like at the 10-minute mark already, and all that really needs to be said is that the show was just horribly written. Like, if nothing else, like, fuck the CGI, fuck everything else, the show just had really bad writing. And if you want to watch it for yourself, go for it. It's on Amazon Prime right now. But to me, it was not worth it at all. Like, there were times where I just paused it to do other things, to go out and then come back and watch it later at night. Like, it was just really that bad that I just didn't want to watch it. But I stuck through it just so I can give this review, or more of a rant, more of a rant actually. But I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section. If you watched the show yourself, how you feel about it. If you agree with me and my 10-minute rant on how I feel about the show, please let me know. Hit that like button. It helps me out a lot to push my content out there. Subscribe if you have not already, and I will catch you in the next video. See you then. Bye bye.